Peter Dutton began to hit his stride in the final week of the campaign, but it was all a little too late. Political correspondent Cameron Redden followed the outgoing opposition leader's campaign. He filed this report from Liberal HQ.
After 24 years in Parliament, Peter Dutton's political career appears over. Having failed to become Prime Minister, losing his own seat of Dickson in the process, it's an historic first for an Australian opposition leader.
Now, we didn't do well enough during this campaign. That much is obvious tonight, and I accept full responsibility for that.
There will be soul-searching over the weeks and months ahead about how things went so wrong so quickly, given the coalition was in a winning position earlier this year. In a campaign that mattered, many in this room acknowledged mistakes were made. Too little policy too late, a misread of attitudes towards working from home, and failure to combat Labor's attacks on nuclear power.
There are good members, good candidates who have lost their seats or their ambition, and I'm sorry for that.
If the coalition can create a clear contest and a strong contrast over the next term, we can certainly be competitive and give Australia the best possible government.
Peter Dutton told me earlier this week that he has given this campaign his best shot. It wasn't enough. Now the Liberal Party will search for a new leader with a new vision to repay the faith of its supporters for the next federal campaign in 2028.
Our election panel has reflected on Peter Dutton's time as the local member for Dickson, as well as his time as Liberal Party leader.
And, you know, he did exactly the right thing by acknowledging the victory, acknowledging Ailey's victory locally. I actually had one term in the state parliament in Queensland in Peter's area. He was always a very hard-working local member, and that is a seat, in my view, that on paper should be a marginal Labor seat. If you look at the demographics of it, and he's held it for 20 odd years. You've got to respect that.
No, it's an incredible
and he wasn't blaming, you know, bad workman blames his tools. It wasn't like 2016 where old mate blamed everybody. Wasn't like that. Wasn't like that. He took the loss. We need a strong Labor Party, and the Labor Party needs a strong Liberal Party. Yeah. I think everyone, and there'll be jubilation over with Labor rightly tonight with the result, but everyone should have a look at when you demonise the character of someone. The man we saw spoke then is a man that you know, and you will have had very difficult calls that he's made to you. We've all dealt with Peter Dutton. It is a shame that to beat a human being in the game in Australia, we've now got into this system where we tear them apart, their character apart. Because he is a fundamentally decent human being, and that he was demonised to the point that he was a caricature, I think says a lot about where politics is today compared to where it was 20 years ago, even 15 years ago. And I think that's a real shame.